Hi guys, it's Petrina. I'm going to skip the whole intro for a very special story time. I've decided to hopefully tackle daily cancer vlogs here on the channel. If that's not something you're into and you don't want to see, if you're subscribed to my channel, just, skip on and be assured that there's going to be more fitness content. I'm going to put business content and tips as well. So please stay tuned. Don't, go on and unsubscribe thinking that this is just going to be a cancer palooza, womp womp, tiny violins kind of thing, because it's not. And even with the cancer stuff, I'm going to try to keep it as light and entertaining as I can. I'm not going to try to bring you all down. But today I wanted to do a story time and share with you how peeing my pants has potentially saved my life. It's true. And you're like, how in the heck is peeing your pants connected with breast cancer? I'm going to share with you. Maybe a little bit of oversharing. TMI alert! And I'll kick off this story with my very first mammogram, which I had done shortly after I turned 40, according to what the guidelines were in place at that time. I had my first mammogram in February of 2013. It was no big deal. No findings. It came back completely and totally clear. I don't have a family history of breast cancer, so I wasn't too eager to go to the next one, and I actually did skip out on the next year and the next. And then when 43 rolled around, by that time they had changed the guidelines. In October of 2015, the American Cancer Society changed their guidelines to recommend that you didn't need to start having an annual mammogram until you were 45. So I kind of clung to that and my own family history and was like, I'm just gonna, wait till I'm 45, no big deal. So that was the plan. Before that time, as a mom and someone who has delivered two beautiful babies vaginally, and those of you who are out there know this, it kind of changes things a little bit and shifts things. And a lot of women suffer with bladder control issues and pelvic muscle issues after giving birth. It's true. It's not pretty, and it's something that I've struggled with that got worse even after the birth of our youngest Stella. It would happen when I was doing jumping jacks, running, sometimes even going on a walk. I would encounter issues, laughing or sneezing. So it was something that was, an embarrassing problem. I didn't talk about it with people. I would try to combat it with panty liners and, just changing the pants and washing and just doing my best to deal with it. I'm thinking that it was just part and parcel of being a mom and there was nothing really I could do about it. That is until a very brave and smart friend of mine, Carrie Heisey here in Raleigh. She heads up Vend Raleigh, which is a very amazing support network for mompreneurs here in the Wake County area. I love it and I highly recommend it. You should check them out. She also has headed up Social Butterflies, which tells families, really fun things to do in the area. And she created the stay-at-home rock star movement. So she's an awesome with awesome sauce kind of lady. And she went ahead and shared on Facebook a very long, raw, and vulnerable post about her own problems with urinary issues related to, having kids, and how she had gotten pretty much fed up with it and consulted with someone in the area who does a surgery, mini bladder sling surgery, to combat the problem. And she shared her experiences with the surgeon and the surgery and how it had vastly improved the issues she was having in that particular regard. And it inspired me. I'm like, maybe I should check this out. I talked with my husband about it because it was really annoying. And as someone who really likes to intensely exercise and do things that involve plyometric movement, as someone who laughs a lot and sometimes sneezes, I would have loved to be able to do those things without fearing that I was going to wet my pants. And you know? So I went ahead and set up an appointment with the surgeon she met with, and it's in an OBGYN practice. So while setting up the appointment, I'm like, hey, I think it's been over a year since I've had my OBGYN annual appointment, so I'll just go in for that and get that checked out too. So I went in, I did the OBGYN appointment before meeting with her to consult. And at the end of the consult, the doctor I was seeing in the office, because she wasn't seeing new OBGYN patients, gave me a referral form to have a mammogram done. So something that wasn't on my agenda, I was like, okay, I got the referral form. I can double check, but I'm pretty sure insurance covers mammograms for women my age annually. So I'll just go ahead and do that. No big deal. Were it not for going in and seeing that doctor with the goal of, exploring bladder surgery, I would have continued to put my mammogram off until 2018. No question about it. So I went in for the mammogram. It was late May. It was your typical mammogram. You just, you get your boob squeezed. It's no big deal. You go home. I think, I'm not sure if it was 1 or 2 days after, but I got a call from them saying, they needed me to come in for a diagnostic, that they had spotted a few scattered areas of fibroglandular density that they wanted to take another look at. At that point, I wasn't really worried, because if you do your research, you know that most follow-up diagnostic mammograms come up with nothing. They just want to be, it's better to be safe than sorry and all that jazz. And again, since I didn't have a family history, I was like, it's just some weirdness. We'll go in and check it out. I didn't bring my husband with me, and I wish that I had, given what happened during the diagnostic. I got in, she was taking a very good look. It took a little bit longer to do the mammogram, and it was just on my right breast, because that's the only spot where they saw those fibroglandular densities. So after she got it done, she told me she needed to have the radiologist take a peek at it. I was sent to a waiting room. I waited for what seemed like forever. And she came back in. She's like, the radiologist wants you to have an ultrasound done so they can get a better look. So I had a very long, very involved ultrasound. There were 2 different technicians. One was training, so she was shadowed by someone else. So it did take a while, and I could tell that they were finding things because they were taking several pictures. So I'm like, oh, something's up. I had left my cell phone in the locker, and so I couldn't, text my husband, I think something's up and I'm scared. So I had to sit there and deal with it. They took it back and talked with the radiologist, who came in several minutes later to talk to me. He didn't really say much. He didn't say the cancer word, but he said, you need to go see a breast surgeon and talk about what we found. Chances are they're going to do biopsies, and that's that. So at that point, I was pretty scared. I got dressed. I FaceTimed with my husband before heading back home, but at that point we knew things weren't looking very good. And the more research we did, like trying to interpret certain things on the findings, the more scared I got. The BIRAD score, I figured out what that meant, and the one that I was assigned, it was a pretty good chance that we were dealing with cancer. I met with the surgeon on June 8th. She took a few biopsy samples, and I got the call that night on June 9th that confirmed that I did indeed have breast cancer. I have stage 2B invasive ductal carcinoma with lymph node involvement, which makes treatment a little bit more involved and time consuming. At that point, given the location and the size of the masses I had, we thought that lumpectomy would be an option, where we could just remove the different masses and I could keep my right breast. But since everything started, and I had an MRI done as well, and they found more masses in a different location, I have to have a right mastectomy. and I'll probably talk about that in a later vlog video, along with deciding whether or not to have one or both, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be fun. And of course, as part and parcel for cancer, they do different screenings on you, including the MRI I talked about. I also had a full body PET scan that showed some really little wonky things. There was something in my throat, which I think was probably inflammation. At that point, my throat was really sore from all the stress, I think. There was a cyst on my left ovary that looked like it was probably related to menstrual cycle, so I didn't really worry too much about that. But there also showed a pretty big mass in my right kidney. So as part of the follow-up for that, I had a kidney CT scan, and it, confirmed that there is a pretty big mass in the right kidney. I met with a urologist who took a look at the CT scan and is pretty much 95% sure that the 6.4 centimeter mass in my right kidney is renal cell carcinoma. As far as what type, we don't know. It's too dangerous generally to do biopsies in the kidney area because there's a risk of spreading the cancer cells around when you're pulling the needle out, so that's not something that's typically done. And given the size of the mass, I think even if it wasn't renal cell carcinoma, they would recommend removing the right kidney. So that's part of my treatment plan. That was a lovely surprise in late July, and something too that I think could have turned out to be much scarier if I hadn't had the breast cancer spotted. I have no symptoms of kidney issues, so I wouldn't have known, and if it spread to lymph nodes and surrounding areas, it could have been a potentially very scary or scarier situation for me. I'm hoping, knock on wood, that it's just being good and staying confined to the realms of my kidney. I'm going to have it removed in January, and a week before the surgery, they're also going to do another kidney CT scan just to make sure it hasn't spread, and that the urologist is aware of the situation before he goes in during the surgery. So as you can imagine, the bladder sling is taking a back seat in a most unusual way, but a most fortuitous way as well, because if I hadn't had the peeing my pants issue, I would have not gotten that annual exam and taken up a very timely offer for a mammogram. And if I had waited 2 years, given the lymph node involvement, I would be pretty self-confident in saying that it would have spread elsewhere and been a potential stage 4 cancer. So that's a very, very good thing. The big takeaway lesson I want you to come away with is not about bladder slings or peeing your pants, but really being proactive with your health and maybe not waiting around until specific guidelines, because women and men younger than 45 do get breast cancer. That's a fact. So please don't think that if there are specific guidelines related to your health that you necessarily have to abide by that particular timeline. Push hard with your insurance company if they're not covering it. Push back on different organizations like the American Cancer Society. Why are they changing the guidelines? And I know it's a risk-benefit analysis and your risk is smaller when you're younger, but there is still a risk there. I know this for a fact personally because I'm sitting here with invasive ductal carcinoma and I'm younger than 45. And as part of this whole breast cancer journey and connecting with other women with breast cancer, I've learned there's a lot of young women out there who have been diagnosed with breast cancer. And it's not just breast cancer. If you've seen in the news, Ben Stiller was diagnosed with prostate cancer at an age before PSA screenings are recommended. So make sure you're getting regular checkups, make sure you're listening to your body, and in some cases it may not even be telling you something, which makes the need for screenings all the more important. Take charge of your health, because nobody, no insurance company, no cancer organization is going to do it for you. You are in charge of your own health. Learn from my mistake if you're a woman and go march in there and get your mammograms every year. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you want to chime in the comments below, feel free to do so. You can share your own story, especially, if you, like me, are under 45 and are facing breast cancer. It's cathartic to talk about it. If you too, pee your pants when you're laughing, you want to share, go ahead and do that too. That's it for today, guys. I hope to see you on a more active basis with these cancer vlogs, and I will be preparing, hopefully, a very awesome with awesome sauce meal planning review next week. So stay tuned for our regular programming. Take care and have a great day. Bye, guys.